I've been using this MacBook Neo for the last 7 days. I've been using it as my daily driver for editing videos, doing some coding, running a bunch of Chrome tabs for doing research. And I've seemed to like it so far, but there are two problems that no one else is talking about right now that I want to address in this video. But I also discovered something that made me rethink what a $600 laptop should feel like. Stick around because I have some questions for you and I genuinely need your help with answering them. So to recap, the MacBook Neo came out last week and it's been selling for $599 or $499 if you're a student. It uses the Apple's A18 Pro chip. That's the same exact processor that's sitting inside an iPhone 16 Pro. It has 8 gigs of RAM that cannot be upgraded. The design is all aluminum and it does feel premium. Like if I compare this design with my 16-inch MacBook Pro, they feel same construction-wise. They both have the same aluminum unibody design. Even the display is the Liquid Retina display with a resolution of 2408 by 1506, that is 219 pixels per inch, and it's supporting 1 billion colors. In simple words, it's a gorgeous display. The text is razor sharp, the colors pop, and honestly for $599, this display is impressive because laptops twice this price barely have this sort of display. The one caveat is that the max brightness does top out at 500 nits, which is perfectly fine for indoors, but outdoor in direct sunlight, that might be an issue. It might become a little challenging to use. Now, here's something that bugs me that enough people aren't talking about that this device only has 2 ports, and one of them is a slow port and one is fast port. First port is a USB 3 port, and the other one is USB 2, which is 4 times slower. And Apple didn't label them either. Now, when you do plug in something like an external storage drive on the slower port, the macOS does alert you telling you that you're connected to the slower port, connect to the fast port. But then again, I wish there were at least both USB 3. Now, the faster USB 3 port supports display monitors. It can support Apple XDR display at 1080p resolution. I personally don't have that display, so I have not tested that. However, I tried connecting it to my LG 5K 2K monitor via a docking station. The docking station and everything works fine with my M1 MacBook Pro setup, but when I plug in the MacBook Neo, it refuses to work because that is not a Thunderbolt port, and that's one limitation. So that's a real bummer for me because there's no other way to connect to this. Also, do note that the USB ports do not support fast charging. So that's again one restriction or limitation on this device compared to a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro. Those do support fast charging. Now let's talk about the color. The color I picked is called Indigo. And then the best way to describe this is like midnight blue, which is aluminum. It's hard to put fingerprints on it. It's not a fingerprint magnet, which is a good thing. But overall, I really like this color. But then there's also the citrus green color that's pretty popular. There's pink, and I believe there's a silver as well. Now, every time I pick up this device, it looks clean, sleek, and premium. And honestly, it might be a very good form factor or a size that Apple has made in many years. Coming on to the other limitation, which is 8 gigs of RAM enough in 2026? And here's my answer after living with this device for almost a week at this point. For everyday stuff, it handles it just fine. I had a bunch of Chrome tabs open, I had Apple Music playing, and I was even, scrubbing through a 4K timeline in DaVinci Resolve all at the same time, and it worked without any stutters, flinches, or any kind of lag. Overall, it ran smooth. Even though this laptop does not have fans, it did not show any signs of lagging or freezing. All right, real talk. I need to know where you stand on this. Drop a comment below that 8 is fine or 8 is a scam. Because I've talked to people on both sides and I still go back and forth myself. I want to know where you stand with this and just let me know in the comments below your thoughts. Now, I ran some synthetic benchmarks. The Geekbench score came back at 3573 for single core and 9111 for multi-core. To give you some context, that's faster than the older M1 MacBook Air that came out in 2020. It's the same MacBook Air that tons of people are still using till this day. So raw performance is genuinely there. And also, if you compare the Geekbench scores with my other daily driver, which is the 2021 M1 Pro MacBook Pro, I got a Geekbench score of 2306 for single core and 11,630 for multi-core. So the MacBook Neo is delivering faster single core performance and slightly less multi-core performance when you compare the two devices. In simple words, that translates to the MacBook Neo feels fast and responsive because of that setup. It's snappier because the single core performance is really strong. The multi-core performance really comes in handy when you're, running some applications or program that are quite resource intensive. But for browsing and surfing and, doing basic light stuff, this is perfectly fine and it's really fast. For $600, that is quite impressive. Now, coming back to battery life, this is one thing that genuinely shocked me. I used this thing for about 6 hours one day and I didn't plug it in that night, and I woke up next morning and I still had 40% left. Basically, one charge lasted me for about a day and a half for real world use case. Officially, Apple says this can do 11 hours of web browsing and 16 hours of video streaming on battery. In my case, I got around 10 to 11 hours of total usage. I was using Chrome a lot and I was playing on DaVinci Resolve a lot, so that makes sense. Now, if you compare this with my Windows HP laptop, which is pretty new, it behaves completely different when the charging cable is unplugged, meaning on battery, it behaves completely different than when it's plugged in. Whereas the MacBook Neo performs the same on battery or when it's plugged in. So that's a big difference between Windows and a Mac laptop. But again, keep in mind that this does not have fast charging. So if you're recharging, do account for that because it does take a while. Now that I'm used to like all the fast charging stuff, like my other Windows laptop charges to 80% in under 30 minutes. This, however, does not do that. So it does take an hour to 2 hours to fully charge it. Personally, I like developing stuff. I like coding. So let's talk about that for a bit. If you're thinking of doing any kind of development or coding on this machine, then listen up. While I do most of my coding on my MacBook Pro, and I mainly use Python, I did manage to install Visual Studio Code, and I did manage to install Claude Code on this machine. I was able to deploy and spin up multiple Python environments and run multiple apps even on this machine while doing everything else, and it just ran fine. The memory was not an issue for me overall. But however, if you're running Xcode or developing something in Xcode, then I would consider getting a MacBook Air or even a MacBook Pro, depending on the type of development you're doing, because I don't think this will be able to handle that. Again, I did not test it. I might test it in one more future video just to see what it is. But overall, for my coding needs, this is performing perfectly fine. I did manage to play one game on this machine, mainly because of storage restrictions. I would have to uninstall and reinstall stuff. I went ahead and installed Cyberpunk, which mostly played at 30 frames per second. It did drop to 16 frames per second at certain times, but that was at the lowest. And by default, the game was at the lowest setting. But overall, the game was playable. I did have fun playing Cyberpunk again after a couple of years. And that kind of tells me that the developers are really scaling up the game. And maybe this game should be even playable on an iPhone not that far from now. Sadly, that's the only game I tested, but I'll link a video in the description below. You can check out another creator who breaks down popular games on the MacBook Neo. So in front of me, I have my Sony 4K camera footage. This is a 4K 10-bit 422 footage, which is a very demanding codec. And I'm able to, easily scrub through this timeline without any issues. Everything is smooth. And at the same time, I can run my browser and, do some browsing and whatnot, and it does not flinch. And all this is possible on a $600 machine running an iPhone chip. That honestly blows my mind. Now, if that surprised you, hit the like button real quick because I was shocked too when this was able to do that. And I think more people need to see this before they write off a $600 Mac laptop. Now, I rendered this exact video, which is a very demanding codec on this machine. It is about a 9-minute video, and this MacBook took 13 minutes and 29 seconds to render. Comparing that with my M1 Pro MacBook Pro from like 5 years ago, that same video rendered in about 5 minutes and 2 seconds. And I also did the same test on my M4 Mac Mini, and that took around 6 minutes and 25 seconds to render the video. Now, with that being said, the MacBook Neo is about twice as slow than the M4 Max when it comes to video rendering. So if you're primarily getting this for video rendering, then I would go Mac Mini route or get a MacBook Air or even a MacBook Pro. There are two things that drove me crazy when I was using the MacBook Neo. Number one was the port situation, because earlier in my, as you probably saw in my last video, I had connected my microphone and an external SSD to edit the video and record audio. But then my battery started declining or decreasing, but I had to make a choice to unplug one device, and that's what I don't like about this. Since there are only 2 ports on the device, you have to make a decision. Either you want to make sure that you charge your device early on, or you sacrifice one of the ports. Now, you could buy one of these hubs or USB things that I bought, and it does a pretty good job. I'm able to connect my external USB drive using one of the other USBs while I can charge stuff. So there are solutions out there, but then when you plug it in, it looks like this. It's unnecessary, you know, it just looks, the device loses its shine, right? And that's just my preference. I'm sure for you it's fine, but for me, this starts looking like this. It's an extra appendage, you could kind of say, that's hooked onto this. So I like a clean setup, but you know, this is an alternative if you need more than 2 ports. This worked good for me, so if you're interested, I'll link it in the description below. You can check it out, but also do your own research, find the best one. This is okay for now. I haven't tested it long term, but you know, it works for me for now. Now let's talk about the second issue, which is the backlit keyboard. I know this might sound small, but I really wish Apple added backlight to, you know, this keyboard, or at least they gave an option to upgrade to a backlit keyboard. So, you know, I work at nights and I edit late in the evening, and my keyboard on this device completely goes dark. If you're using bright modes, meaning that you're not in dark mode and your screen is wide enough to where it can reflect some light onto the keyboard, in that case, it works fine. There's enough light coming out from the screen onto the keyboard that even in a pitch dark room, I can see the keys and make out where I am at. I like using dark mode, and when I'm fully in dark mode, editing in DaVinci Resolve, and it's completely dark, it's kind of hard to see the keyboard. Still, I can see it, but I just wish Apple added that option. To me, that's the most Apple thing Apple has ever done. I think the idea is that if you do need a backlit keyboard, then get a MacBook Air and up. I want to hear from you what you think of the backlit keyboard situation. Is it a deal breaker for you personally? Do let me know in the comments below. I would like to know your feedback. So as my final verdict, what I would like to say is that during these last 7 days, one charge got me throughout the day on the MacBook Neo, and that included working on 4K videos, you know, doing a lot of browsing, a lot of research, and it just worked fine overall. This by far is the best Apple laptop ever made at this price point. And it's probably the best laptop when you compare it to a Windows. When you compare it to a Windows laptop for the same price point, Apple has really outdone themselves, providing such a value product at a $600 price point and even $500 if you're a student. But I know that this device is not going to be for everyone, and you need to know what you're walking into. There are 2 issues, which is lack of USB-C port. Again, you can get a hub and everything, but it's a limitation for me. And there's no backlit keyboard, and this device has only 8 gigs of RAM, which can never be upgraded. There are points on for the build quality, the battery life, and the fact that this can edit 4K videos on a chip that was made for an iPhone that was from last year. Now, should you buy this? My recommendation is, if you have the budget for MacBook Air, I would highly recommend getting the M5 MacBook Air. And the main reason being that it has a backlit keyboard, it has more RAM, and it's got Thunderbolt ports and an M5 chip, which is much faster than this. And that would last you for years to come, whereas this you need to upgrade every 3 years at least, I would think. So here's the question I've been meaning to ask you this entire video. Based on everything that I mentioned above, Should you buy the MacBook Air for $1,100 or should you get the MacBook Neo at $599? Personally, I've been having a blast with the MacBook Neo. My M1 Pro MacBook Pro is starting to feel laggy in comparison because it's getting old, and the Neo for single core performance is fast and snappy, so it does feel a little bit more responsive there. But let me know what you think. Should you get the MacBook Neo or the MacBook Air? That's the ultimate question at this point. I've been going back and forth in the last 7 days just to see if the MacBook Air is better or this, but leave your take in the comments below. If this video helped you figure out whether the Neo is worth your money, hit the like button. It only takes you a second and it helps my channel more than you can think. Subscribe if you want to catch the next full MacBook Neo versus my HP laptop comparison. That'll be my next video. That'll be uploaded sometime next week. And that's it for this one. I'm Sean, and I'll see you in the next one.